I gripped the leather portfolio in my hands, watching my brother-in-law Dylan shuffle through my meticulously prepared business proposal without even looking up. The sterile bank office felt suffocating as he clicked his Mont Blanc pen repeatedly, a nervous habit I'd watched him display at countless family dinners. My name is Tinsley, and I was about to learn exactly how little my family valued my worth. "Look," Dylan said, finally meeting my eyes with that condescending smile I'd grown to hate. "I understand you're trying to be productive, but without a formal income or employment history, there's really nothing I can do here. I've been managing our household finances for 10 years, I countered, fighting to keep my voice steady. The proposal shows clear revenue projections, and running a household budget isn't the same as running a business." He cut in, closing the portfolio with a snap. "Come back when you have a real job." I stood up, smoothing my skirt with trembling hands. "Thank you for your time," I managed, proud that my voice didn't crack. As I walked through the marble lobby, my phone buzzed. A text from Sophia. "Meeting with Zachary confirmed for 3 p.m. You ready to change the game?" A smile tugged at my lips as I typed back. "More than ready. Dylan just did exactly what we expected." I ducked into my car and called Sophia on speaker. "You won't believe how dismissive he was," I said as I pulled out of the parking lot. "What a jerk," Sophia's voice crackled through. "But it makes our plan even sweeter. The app's final numbers came in. We're looking at a 300% growth rate since launch. And Dylan has no idea his bank's about to partner with us." I laughed, the sting of his rejection fading. "Or that his housewife sister-in-law is the silent partner he's been hearing about." "You should have seen Zachary's face when he realized who you were," Sophia said. "He couldn't believe Dylan's own sister-in-law was behind Tech Mom. Speaking of which, your husband's still okay with keeping quiet?" "Elliot understands," I said, turning onto the highway. "He knows his brother needs this wake-up call. 15 years of snide comments about my little homemaker routine are about to blow up in his face." "The best part is he did this to himself," Sophia chuckled. "If he'd actually read your proposal, he'd have recognized our platform. But he couldn't see past his own prejudice." I pulled into the coffee shop parking lot where we'd first hatched our plan a year ago. "Remember when we were just two moms complaining about how hard it was to coordinate school schedules? And now we're revolutionizing family organization software," Sophia finished, "with 2 million active users and counting." The barista recognized me as I walked in, already starting my usual order. "The usual meeting room is ready, Mrs. Palmer. Your guest arrived early." Zachary stood as I entered, his smile genuine. "Tinsley, I just got the latest user engagement reports. Incredible work." "Thank you," I said, settling into my chair. "I assume you've reviewed the partnership terms?" "The board is thrilled," he confirmed, sliding over a folder. "We're prepared to move forward immediately. Though I have to ask, are you sure you want to keep your involvement quiet until the deal is public? Your brother-in-law is going to be blindsided." I thought of Dylan's dismissive smile, of years of watching other women at family gatherings shrink under his subtle put-downs. "Sometimes," I said carefully, "people need to learn the hard way that appearances can be deceiving." "Well, he's certainly in for a surprise at next week's announcement dinner." Zachary chuckled. "I've known Dylan for years, and this might be exactly what he needs." My phone buzzed. A text from Eleanor, Dylan's wife. "He told me about your meeting. I'm so sorry, Tins. He can be such an ass sometimes." I typed back, "Don't worry about it. Everything happens for a reason." Looking up at Zachary, I smiled. "Let's make this official. I think it's time for some overdue family drama." As I signed the partnership agreement, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. Years of being underestimated, of swallowing my responses to Dylan's subtle jabs, were about to pay off in the most satisfying way possible. Sophia called just as I was leaving. "Everything set?" "Signed and sealed," I confirmed. "Now we just have to wait for the family dinner next week. Make sure you're there. You won't want to miss this show." "Wouldn't miss it for the world," she laughed. "Time to show them what a housewife can really do." I hung up, feeling the signed agreement in my bag like a loaded gun. Dylan had no idea what was coming, and that was exactly how I wanted it. "Are you absolutely sure about this?" Sophia paced around my home office, her heels clicking against the hardwood floor. Once we do this, there's no going back. Your whole family dynamic could implode. I was sorting through old emails on my laptop. Evidence of Dylan's dismissive attitude over the years. Remember last Thanksgiving? When he practically patted me on the head and said, "At least you're good at making pie?" While you were secretly closing our Series A funding round? Sophia snorted. Classic. The doorbell rang, interrupting our conversation. Elliot's voice carried up the stairs. Honey, Eleanor's here. I quickly closed my laptop. Up here, I called back. Eleanor appeared in the doorway, looking stressed. Dylan's been impossible since your meeting, she said, dropping onto my office couch. He keeps bringing it up at dinner, using you as an example of why women should think practically about their careers. Sophia's eyes narrowed. You're kidding. I wish. Eleanor sighed. I almost told him about your company last night, Tinsley. I'm tired of his superiority complex. Just a few more days, I promised, reaching for my phone as it buzzed with a notification. Look at this. Another 1,000 user signups today. Eleanor leaned forward to look at the screen. It's still crazy to think you built all this while everyone thought you were just playing around on your computer at home. That's exactly why this lesson is so important, Sophia interjected. People like Dylan need to learn that success doesn't always wear a suit and tie. My phone rang. Zachary's name flashing on the screen. 1 second, I said, answering. Hello? Tinsley. Just had a meeting with Dylan about the partnership announcement. He's absolutely giddy about landing such an innovative client. If he only knew. I put the phone on speaker. How did he describe the company? Oh, you'll love this. Zachary chuckled. A forward-thinking tech solution that clearly benefited from professional guidance. He's taking credit for discovering you, even though he rejected your loan application last week. Eleanor covered her mouth, trying not to laugh. Sophia didn't bother hiding her amusement. The board dinner is still on for next week? I asked. Everything's set. Dylan's already bragging about hosting it at his house. Eleanor, I assume you're prepared for the fireworks? Eleanor straightened. More than ready. Actually, Zachary, there's something you should know about Dylan's recent investment decisions. I listened as Eleanor detailed how Dylan had been steering clients away from tech startups led by women, claiming they were high risk. Each example made my resolve stronger. After the call ended, Sophia pulled up our company dashboard. Look at these metrics. While Dylan was dismissing female entrepreneurs, we built this. 2 million users, growing daily, and a valuation that would make him choke on his morning coffee. I found something else, Eleanor said quietly, pulling out her phone. His internal memo about your loan application. He actually wrote typical housewife with delusions of entrepreneurship. The words hit like a physical blow. Forward that to me, I said, my voice tight. It's going in my presentation for the dinner. Tinsley. Elliot appeared in the doorway, his expression concerned. Mom just called. She's insisting on coming to Dylan's dinner next week. Says she wants to support his big announcement. I shared a look with Sophia. Perfect. Let's give her something to really celebrate. Are you going to tell her beforehand? Eleanor asked. No, I decided. Mom needs to see this play out in real time. She's always taken Dylan's side, telling me I should be content with being a homemaker. Sophia pulled up our presentation slides. Speaking of the dinner, we need to finalize these. When should we reveal that you're not just a silent partner, but the actual founder? Right after Dylan finishes his big speech about discovering this amazing opportunity, I said, feeling a mix of anticipation and nervousness. Eleanor, you're sure you want to be part of this? My husband needs this reality check, Eleanor said firmly. Maybe then he'll finally see me as more than just his wife. Elliot wrapped an arm around my shoulders. Just promise me one thing. After this is all over, we focus on moving forward. No matter how satisfying this will be, it's about proving a point, not destroying relationships. I leaned into his embrace. That's why I married you. You always keep me grounded. Sophia cleared her throat. Well, I don't care about family harmony. I just want to see Dylan's face when he realizes he rejected his own golden goose. As my friends and family laughed, I looked at the company dashboard again. Everything I'd worked for, everything I'd built while being underestimated and dismissed, was about to come to light. In 1 week, Dylan would learn the true cost of his prejudice. And I couldn't wait. "You'll never believe who's buying a new boat," Mom announced at Sunday brunch, beaming across the table at Dylan. "Someone's doing well at the bank." I stabbed at my Eggs Benedict, keeping my expression neutral as Dylan launched into another self-congratulatory speech about his recent successes. The family had gathered at Mom's insistence, a pre-celebration for Dylan's upcoming partnership announcement. "Speaking of success," Dylan said, setting down his mimosa, "Tinsley, have you considered what we discussed? About getting a part-time job at the mall?" Eleanor choked on her coffee. I caught her eye, giving a slight shake of my head. "I'm quite busy with my current projects," I replied carefully. "What projects?" Mom asked. "Oh, is this about that computer thing you were doing?" Dylan chuckled. "Mom, playing around with apps isn't a career. Tinsley needs structure, professional guidance. In fact, just last week." "Did you know," Elliot interrupted, "that tech startups founded by women typically have better returns than theory versus practice, brother?" Dylan waved him off. "In the real world, we need solid metrics, proven track records. Take this new partnership I'm announcing next week. Now that's a proper business model." My phone buzzed. A message from Zachary. "Board members confirmed for dinner. Ready to make history?" "What's making you smile, dear?" Mom asked. "Just a funny meme," I lied, typing back, "Beyond ready." Sophia had sent our latest numbers. 3 million users now. Our valuation had jumped another 15% overnight. Meanwhile, Dylan was explaining to everyone how he'd discovered this amazing tech company. "The founders clearly benefited from proper financial guidance," he was saying. "That's what separates serious businesses from hobby projects." Eleanor stood abruptly. "I need air. Tinsley, join me?" On the back porch, Eleanor gripped the railing. "I can't take it anymore. The way he talks to you, to everyone, like we're all just supporting characters in the Dylan show." 3 more days, I reminded her. "How's the seating arrangement for the dinner coming along?" "Perfect. You'll be directly across from him when everything goes down. Mom's next to him, so she'll have a front row seat." My phone rang. Sophia again. "Hey, slight problem," she said when I answered. "The press got wind of the partnership. They're asking for founder interviews." "Stall them," I said. "Everything needs to wait until after the dinner." "Tinsley?" Mom's voice came from the doorway. "Dylan's about to share some financial advice. You should really come listen." Eleanor rolled her eyes as we headed back inside. Dylan had commandeered the living room, holding court like some financial prophet. "The problem with most home-based businesses," he was explaining, "is that they lack professional oversight. Take Tinsley's loan application." "That's enough." Elliot stood up. "You've made your point." "I'm trying to help," Dylan protested. "Someone needs to be realistic with her. The business world isn't a hobby shop." My phone buzzed again. Another message from Zachary. "Dylan just requested to lead the partnership announcement himself. Says he wants to properly frame the narrative. Should I let him?" I smiled, typing back. "Give him all the rope he needs." "See?" Dylan pointed at my phone. "Always distracted. Business requires focus, dedication." "Like the focus you showed reviewing my proposal?" I asked quietly. The room went silent. Dylan shifted uncomfortably. I gave it the attention it deserved. "Did you?" I stood up, gathering my things. "Interesting. Elliot, we should go. I have a meeting to prepare for." "A meeting?" Mom looked confused. "With who?" "Just some hobby friends," I said, watching Dylan's satisfied smirk. "Nothing serious enough for professional oversight." In the car, Elliot squeezed my hand. "You okay?" "Better than okay." I pulled out my phone, showing him our latest user statistics. While Dylan was in there pontificating about proper business practices, we just crossed 3 million active users. Our valuation is higher than his annual bonus. When he finds out, he'll learn that success doesn't always wear a tie, I finished, and that sometimes the best business decisions come from actually reading proposals instead of making assumptions. My phone lit up with a message from Sophia. Final presentation ready. Want to rehearse tomorrow? No, I replied. I've been rehearsing this moment for years. Every dismissive comment, every condescending smile, they've all been leading to Thursday night. Elliot glanced over. Just remember, he's still my brother. And he'll still be your brother after this, I assured him. But he'll be a humbler, wiser version. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for someone is show them exactly who they've been underestimating. As we drove home, I thought about Dylan's boat, his speeches, his certainty that he knew best. In 3 days, all that confidence would crash head-on into reality. And I would be there to watch every second of it. Eleanor, we need to talk. I stood in her kitchen, watching her arrange flowers for tomorrow's dinner. There's something you should know before everything goes down. She set down the vase. You're finally going to tell me the whole story? Your husband didn't just reject my loan application. I pulled out my phone, showing her the email thread. He's been actively blocking female entrepreneurs from getting funding. Sophia found a pattern. Eleanor's face hardened as she read. 23 rejected applications, all women-led startups. And his comments, God, Tinsley, these are horrible. Now look at this. I switched to our company dashboard. These are the current numbers for TechMom, the company he's so excited about partnering with. Her eyes widened. 3 million users? And that valuation? Tinsley, this is yours? Mine and Sophia's. The same proposal he dismissed without reading? This is what it became. Eleanor sank into a chair. And tomorrow night, your husband is going to stand up and take credit for discovering us. Then I'm going to stand up and show everyone exactly who they've been underestimating. He'll be humiliated, she whispered. He deserves to be. Sophia's voice came from the doorway. She walked in, laptop under her arm. Sorry, door was open. Eleanor, look at this. She opened her laptop, pulling up more emails. Your husband has cost this bank millions in missed opportunities, all because he couldn't see past his own bias. Eleanor's hands trembled as she read. Last month, he told me I was being cute for suggesting we invest in a female-led AI startup. They just got acquired for $50 million. My phone buzzed. Zachary calling. Hey, what's up? Dylan just finished his presentation run-through, he said, amusement clear in his voice. He's added a whole section about mentoring ambitious housewives to become real entrepreneurs. Says he was inspired by you. Eleanor's face flushed with anger. Put him on speaker. You should see his PowerPoint, Zachary continued. He's got this whole narrative about guiding tech mom from a modest home project to a real business opportunity. That's my company he's talking about, I said quietly. The one he rejected without reading past the first page. I knew he was condescending. Eleanor stood up, pacing. But this is systematic discrimination. He's been doing this for years, hasn't he? Sophia nodded. We've documented everything. Tomorrow night isn't just about revenge, Eleanor. It's about exposing a pattern that's hurt countless women entrepreneurs. What do you need from me? Eleanor asked, her voice firm. Just don't warn him, I said. Let him have his moment in the spotlight. Let him dig his hole as deep as he wants. Oh, I'll do better than that. She pulled out her phone. I'm forwarding you his notes for tomorrow's speech. Wait until you see how he describes finding your company. My phone dinged with her message. Reading Dylan's notes, I felt my blood boil. Through careful mentorship, I've guided this promising but amateur venture toward professional success. Amateur venture? Sophia read over my shoulder. We were already valued at $50 million when he rejected your loan. Keep reading, Eleanor said grimly. It gets better. By showing proper business acumen, I've helped transform a housewife's dream into a viable enterprise. I had to stop reading. Is he serious? Dead serious, Eleanor confirmed. He practiced that speech 3 times last night. Called it his crowning achievement. proving that proper guidance can turn even a simple home business into something worthwhile. Sophia's laptop pinged with a notification. Speaking of worthwhile, we just crossed 3.2 million users. The partnership announcement leaked, and our numbers are soaring. Does he really have no idea? Eleanor asked. None at all? Zachary made sure all the paperwork used our corporate name, not our product name, I explained. Dylan never bothered to research beyond the surface numbers. He saw a successful tech company and assumed it must have been run by men. My phone buzzed again. Elliot this time. Mom just called. She's bringing her bridge club friends to dinner tomorrow. Says they need to see what real success looks like. I showed the message to Eleanor and Sophia. Perfect. More witnesses. Tinsley. Eleanor caught my arm. Make it count. Not just for you, but for every woman he's dismissed. Make him understand exactly what his prejudice has cost him. Don't worry, I said, pulling up our presentation one more time. By the time I'm done, everyone will understand, including your husband. Sophia closed her laptop with a snap. Tomorrow's going to be better than any reality TV show. Better than that, Eleanor said, a fierce light in her eyes. Tomorrow's going to be justice. Looking at Dylan's speech notes again, I felt the last traces of doubt fade away. He'd written his own downfall, word by condescending word. And tomorrow night, he'd finally learn the price of underestimating women like me. The flowers go there. The place card's here, and Mom, what are you doing? Eleanor's voice carried through Dylan's house as I arrived early to help set up for tonight's dinner. Mom was rearranging the seating cards. Dylan said he wants all the important business people near him. I'm just making sure Tinsley is at the far end where she won't interrupt. Leave them, I said, setting down my laptop bag. The seating arrangement is final. But dear, Mom turned to me with that familiar, patronizing smile. You know how these business dinners work. The serious discussions will happen exactly where they need to. Eleanor cut in, shooting me a knowing look. My phone buzzed. Sophia was running late. The press had ambushed her outside our office, hungry for details about the partnership. I could hear Dylan upstairs, his voice carrying as he practiced his speech again. And through my guidance, this promising venture has flourished. Eleanor rolled her eyes. He's been rehearsing all day. Added a whole section about nurturing underdeveloped talent. The doorbell rang. Zachary arrived early, carrying a thick folder. Ladies, Tinsley, the final partnership documents are ready. Want to sign them before the fireworks begin? What fireworks? Mom asked, following us into the study. Is there something special planned? You could say that, I replied, taking the papers from Zachary. As I signed, I noticed Mom peering at the valuation figures. Those can't be right, she said, adjusting her glasses. Those numbers are completely accurate, Zachary confirmed. Your daughter's company is quite remarkable. What? Mom stared at me. The front door opened again. Elliot's voice mixing with Sophia's as they arrived. I could hear Dylan thundering down the stairs to greet them. Sophia, wonderful to meet you properly. Dylan's voice oozed confidence. I was just telling my wife how excited I am to guide your company toward greater success. Through the study door, I watched Sophia's face remain perfectly composed. Oh, and how do you plan to do that? Well, with my extensive experience in identifying promising ventures, Dylan began, but Sophia's phone rang. Sorry, have to take this, she said. It's our 3 millionth user calling with feedback. Mom turned to me. Tinsley, what's really going on here? Before I could answer, the caterers arrived, creating a welcome distraction. Eleanor drafted Mom into helping with the table settings, while I slipped upstairs to set up my presentation. Everything ready? Elliot asked, finding me in Dylan's home office. Almost too ready, I said, showing him the final slides. Sophia added a section comparing our growth to other startups he rejected. The numbers are devastating. Tinsley, Dylan's voice boomed as he entered. Didn't expect you up here? We're about to have a pre-dinner meeting with the real stakeholders. Perfect, I smiled, gathering my things. I wouldn't want to interfere with the serious business talk. As I left, I heard him mutter to Elliot, "At least she knows her place." Downstairs, guests were arriving. Mom's bridge club friends clustered in one corner, whispering about Dylan's new boat. Bank executives filled another corner, while Sophia worked the room with practiced ease. "Ready?" Eleanor whispered, passing me a glass of wine. "Beyond ready," I replied, watching Dylan hold court near the fireplace. He was explaining to anyone who'd listen how he'd discovered this amazing investment opportunity. And when I saw the potential, I knew it needed a proper business perspective. He was saying, "These tech startups, they need guidance from experienced professionals." My phone lit up with a message from Sophia. "Press release is ready. The moment you give the signal, it goes live." "The dinner's about to start," Eleanor announced. "Everyone find your places, please." I watched Mom's face as she discovered her seat next to Dylan, her confusion at finding me directly across from him. The way Dylan's expression flickered when he saw Zachary take the seat beside me. "Before we begin," Dylan stood, raising his glass, "I'd like to say a few words about tonight's announcement." "Actually," Zachary interrupted smoothly, "as CEO, I believe I should start us off." Dylan's smile tightened. "Of course, but as the one who discovered this opportunity—" "Did you?" Sophia asked innocently. "Discover it, I mean?" The room quieted. I caught Eleanor's eye across the table as she gave an almost imperceptible nod. "Perhaps," I said, standing slowly, my laptop open before me. "We should begin with the real story of how this partnership came to be." Dylan's confident smile wavered as I connected my laptop to the room's projector. The first slide appeared, my original loan application, with his dismissive comments highlighted in red. "It's an interesting story," I continued, watching the color drain from his face. "About assumption, prejudice, and the high cost of underestimating the wrong person." The room fell silent as the presentation began. "What exactly are you doing?" Dylan's voice carried a warning edge as my presentation glowed on the dining room wall. "Telling a story," I replied calmly, "about a loan application you received last month. Would you like to read your comments aloud, or should I?" "This is hardly the time," he started, but Sophia cut in. "I think it's exactly the time," she said, standing. "Everyone's here to discuss the new partnership after all. They should know its full history." The room crackled with tension as I clicked to the next slide. "Here's your internal memo, Dylan. The one where you called me a typical housewife with delusions of entrepreneurship." Mom gasped. One of her bridge club friends whispered loudly, "Did he really write that?" "Tinsley." Dylan's voice hardened. "You're embarrassing yourself. This dinner is about celebrating a significant business partnership, not your hurt feelings over a rejected loan." "Oh, we're definitely celebrating a partnership." Zachary spoke up, his smile predatory. "Though perhaps not the one you think." I clicked to the next slide, our company's growth metrics. "While you were dismissing my little home project, Dylan, it grew into this." The numbers spoke for themselves. 3 million users, revenue in the millions, projected growth that made several bank executives whistle under their breath. "That's impossible," Dylan scoffed, but his voice wavered. "Those numbers, they're from the company I brought to the bank, the one I discovered." "Did you?" Eleanor asked sweetly. "Tell us again how you discovered them, dear." Dylan's face reddened. "I vetted their proposal personally. I recognized their potential." "You didn't even read past the first page," I interrupted, clicking to show his own email trail. "Just like you didn't read the proposals from 23 other women entrepreneurs this year alone." The room erupted in murmurs. Mom set down her wine glass with a sharp clink. "Now wait just a minute," she began, but Sophia was already pulling up more data. "Here's what those rejected companies achieved without your guidance," Sophia announced. 3 acquisitions, 2 IPOs, and combined valuations exceeding $200 million. Dylan stood abruptly. "This is ridiculous. Zachary, are you going to allow this disruption of a serious business dinner?" "Serious business?" Zachary raised an eyebrow. Like dismissing a $50 million company because its founder was, what did you call her? A housewife playing entrepreneur? The color drained from Dylan's face as understanding began to dawn. You don't mean tech mom, I said clearly, watching his expression crumble. The company you're so excited to partner with? That's my little home project, Dylan. The one you rejected without reading. No, he shook his head. No, that's not. The founder is a silent partner, a serious businessman who's standing right here, I finished. Though I guess I'm not quite the businessman you imagined. One of the bank executives started laughing. Oh, this is too perfect. Dylan, you've been bragging about this partnership for weeks. Telling everyone how you discovered and nurtured it, another added. I particularly enjoyed your speech about providing proper guidance to amateur ventures, Sophia added. Would you like to share your mentorship insights with your sister-in-law, the CEO you've been trying to impress? Mom's bridge club was practically vibrating with gossip. Eleanor sat back, watching her husband flounder with a mixture of satisfaction and sadness. There must be some mistake. Dylan tried again. The paperwork. Used our corporate name. Zachary confirmed. If you'd done any real due diligence, you'd have made the connection. But you saw a successful tech company and assumed it couldn't possibly be the work of a housewife. I finished. An expensive assumption, as it turns out. The projector showed our latest valuation. Someone whistled. Dylan sank back into his chair, his carefully practiced speech forgotten. The partnership agreement is still valid, I continued, my voice steady. Our company will work with the bank, but not through you, Dylan. The board has appointed a new liaison, someone with a better track record of evaluating proposals on merit rather than prejudice. Eleanor. Zachary nodded to Dylan's wife. Would you like to tell them, or should I? Eleanor stood, smoothing her dress. Starting next week, I'll be heading the bank's new division, focusing on emerging technology investments. My first task is reviewing all the proposals my husband rejected without proper evaluation. This is a joke, Dylan whispered. It has to be a joke. Oh no, Sophia smiled. The joke was thinking you could dismiss someone's potential just because they didn't fit your idea of what success looks like. I clicked to the final slide, the press release announcing our partnership, my name and position clear as day. Now then, I said, taking my seat as servers began bringing in the first course. Shall we discuss business? I believe you had some thoughts about proper guidance, Dylan. I'm all ears. The silence that followed was deafening. The first course arrived in complete silence. Dylan stared at his soup like it might offer him an escape route, while Mom kept opening and closing her mouth, clearly struggling to process what had just happened. So, Tinsley? One of the bank executives broke the tension. Tell us more about how you developed Tech Mom. The user growth is remarkable. Before I could answer, Dylan found his voice. You can't just... He turned to Zachary. She's my sister-in-law. This is a conflict of interest. Which is exactly why you should have recused yourself from reviewing her loan application. Zachary replied smoothly. Instead, you let your bias cloud your judgment. Expensive mistake. But she's just a... Dylan caught himself, but not quickly enough. A what? Eleanor's voice could have frozen hell. Go ahead. Finish that sentence. Sophia pulled out her tablet. While you're deciding how to dig your hole deeper, let me share some numbers. Our latest user acquisition costs are... Stop. Dylan slammed his hand on the table, making the silverware jump. This entire thing is a setup. You deliberately deceived me. Did we? I asked quietly. Or did you deceive yourself by assuming you knew my worth without bothering to look? Mom? Dylan turned to his last hope for support. Tell them this isn't right. Tell them how she's twisting things. Mom set down her wine glass carefully. Actually, I have some questions myself. Starting with why you felt it appropriate to dismiss your sister-in-law's business proposal without reading it. I did read it, Dylan protested. Really? Sophia projected his email onto the wall again. Timestamp shows you rejected it 8 minutes after receiving it. That's quite impressive reading speed for a 40-page proposal. One of Mom's bridge club friends snorted into her soup. Another whispered loudly, "No wonder Margaret's daughter got funding from a different bank." The partnership agreement, Dylan tried again. It can't be legal. There must be. Oh, it's completely legal, Zachary interrupted. In fact, the board is thrilled, though they're less thrilled about the pattern of discrimination we've uncovered in your loan reviews. Eleanor stood up. Which is why they've asked me to lead the internal review, starting with these. She dropped a thick folder on the table. 23 rejected applications, all from women entrepreneurs. Care to explain the pattern? I was protecting the bank. Dylan's voice rose. These weren't serious business proposals. Like mine wasn't serious? I asked, projecting our latest valuation. This is what your protection cost the bank, and that's just one rejection. The room erupted in murmurs as the numbers appeared. Even Mom's bridge club friends stopped whispering to stare. Impossible, Dylan whispered. Those numbers can't be real. Oh, they're very real, Sophia confirmed. In fact, while we've been sitting here, we've added another 50,000 users. Would you like to see the live dashboard? I think, Mom said suddenly. I owe you an apology, Tinsley. I should have questioned why Dylan was so dismissive of your work. Instead, I enabled his attitude. Mom. Dylan looked betrayed. Don't mom me, she snapped. You've been condescending to your sister-in-law for years. I watched it happen and said nothing. That stops today. One of the bank executives cleared his throat. Perhaps we should discuss the transition plan for the new partnership liaison? Excellent idea. Eleanor smiled. As my first official act, I'm reviewing all rejected applications from the past year, starting with these. She patted the folder. Dylan, I'll need your office cleared by Monday. My office? Dylan's voice cracked. You can't. I've been with the bank for 15 years. 14 years, 8 months, Zachary corrected, during which you've consistently undervalued or rejected proposals from women entrepreneurs. The board takes that very seriously. Elliot, Dylan turned to my husband desperately. Say something. Elliot, who had been quietly watching everything unfold, set down his spoon. What would you like me to say? That you were right to dismiss my wife without reading her proposal? That your bias hasn't cost the bank millions in missed opportunities? I was trying to maintain professional standards. Dylan's voice rose again. Professional standards? Sophia laughed. Like assuming a successful tech company must have been founded by a man? Or adding that lovely section to your speech about mentoring ambitious housewives? I added. The room fell silent again as Dylan slumped in his chair, his carefully constructed world crumbling around him. Well, Mom's oldest friend broke the silence. I believe this calls for more wine. And Tinsley, dear, I'd love to hear more about your company. My granddaughter has been raving about some app called Tech Mom. As the conversation shifted, I caught Eleanor's eye across the table. She gave me a slight nod, then turned to her husband. Dylan, she said quietly, I believe you had a speech prepared about proper business guidance. We're all ears. The silence that followed was sweeter than any revenge I could have planned. The dinner plates were being cleared when Dylan finally spoke again. I'd like to say something. The room quieted. He stood, hands trembling slightly on his water glass. I prepared a speech for tonight, he began, about mentorship, guidance, and success. I realize now it was actually a speech about arrogance. Eleanor's hand found mine under the table and squeezed. My sister-in-law came to me for help, Dylan continued, his voice rough. Instead of reading her proposal, I saw what I expected to see, what I wanted to see. And it cost me more than just a business opportunity. It cost you your credibility, one of the bank executives said bluntly. Yes, Dylan nodded. But more than that, it cost me my relationships. Eleanor Tinsley, I've been so focused on being right that I never considered I might be wrong. Sophia raised an eyebrow. Are we supposed to feel sorry for you now? No. He shook his head. I don't expect forgiveness, but I do owe everyone an apology, especially you, Tinsley. You built something remarkable, and I was too blind to see it. 23 other women built remarkable things too, I reminded him. Things you dismissed without looking. Which is why, Eleanor stood, the bank's new division will be reaching out to each of them. Their proposals will be reviewed properly this time. Mom dabbed at her eyes with a napkin. I owe you an apology too, Tinsley. I should have supported you instead of enabling Dylan's attitude. Speaking of support, Zachary interjected. The press release just went live. Tinsley, your phone's about to explode. As if on cue, my phone lit up with notifications. Sophia grinned as she checked hers. We're trending. Female founder reveals tech success to dismissive banker brother-in-law. The internet loves karma. It's not about karma, Elliot spoke up. It's about recognition. About seeing people for who they are, not who we assume them to be. Dylan turned to his wife. Eleanor, I never knew you wanted to work in investment banking. You never asked. She replied simply. You were too busy telling everyone what they should want. The board meeting's tomorrow morning, Zachary announced. Dylan, you'll be expected to present a full accounting of all rejected proposals from the past year. And after that? Dylan asked quietly. After that, Eleanor said, you'll work under Sarah in the small business loan department, starting from the bottom, learning to evaluate proposals without bias. One of Mom's bridge club friends cackled. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. No, I cut in, surprising myself. This isn't about falling. It's about learning to see clearly. Dylan, you're a good banker when you actually read the proposals. Start doing that and you might be surprised what you discover. Sophia pulled up our company dashboard on the projector. While we've been having this lovely family drama, we've crossed 3.5 million users. Turns out a housewife's little project can make quite an impact. I'd like to propose a toast. Zachary raised his glass. To seeing people as they are, not as we assume them to be. And to Tinsley, who showed us that success doesn't always wear a tie. As glasses clinked, my phone buzzed with a message from Sophia. Ready for phase 2? I smiled, typing back. Launch it. What was that? Dylan asked, noticing my expression. That was me authorizing our expansion into corporate family management software, I said. The market you said didn't exist? We just signed our first Fortune 500 client. The room erupted in congratulations. Through the chaos, I caught Elliot's proud smile, Eleanor's satisfied nod, and Mom's tearful beaming. Dylan remained quiet, processing everything. Finally, he spoke again. Tinsley, that loan application. Do you still have a copy? Of course. I'd like to read it properly this time, he said, if you'll let me. I pulled the document up on my tablet and handed it to him. Page 1. Start there. Actually read it this time. As Dylan sat down with the proposal, Eleanor moved to sit beside me. Think he's learned his lesson? We'll see, I replied. But at least now he knows what he's been missing. Sophia raised her glass again. To underestimated women everywhere, may they all get the chance to prove their worth. No, I corrected her, watching Dylan actually reading my proposal for the first time. To women who know their worth, whether others see it or not. As the evening wound down, I watched my brother-in-law highlighting sections of my proposal, finally seeing what had been in front of him all along. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying someone. It's about forcing them to open their eyes. And sometimes, just sometimes, they actually learn to see.